Well, this title's nice for you because you said you wanted to know when things were wrapping up. So the beginning of the end. There's a few more episodes, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, no, and I just like to mentally prepare for like, because then if something ends and it's just over, I can't process it.
Attention gamers. Previously on my 12-step program to get away from toxic League players by trying hardcore World of Warcraft, I did a dungeon with toxic players who shared elaborate plans to get my character killed. I helped a homeboy in a gorge that searing avenge his father's death caused by a negligent mining company by committing full-blown arson. I started testing my strength as the Rabbitaur by soloing dungeon trash and spelunking through elite-ridden caves where I politely asked the ogre in charge to take a long walk with me, knowing that one small mistake would have me spawning back into Cold Ridge Valley. I quickly realized that with Howard's rising fame I needed to improve my public image, so I joined Mr. Beast's Team C's initiative, adopt a Highway Beach edition and clean it up so no turtles get stuck deep-throating plastic, when I had a run-in with old Uncle Gorlash, a dwarf who combined seaweed with synthol, and now he was about to get slaughtered. I said yip to Howard and let him get in the ring for a bit, but I'm not trying to have a pork barbecue on my hands, so I said okay, you can stop acting so threatening, I will distract the shitter and we will fly this kite. And to no surprise, this supposedly deadly quest was nothing more than a long walk on the beach for yours truly.
You have slain an enemy.
But as I was being raved the environmentalist, I found a note in one of the bottles which took me to Planet of the Apes Island, where an upright cow was being held captive. She said King Kong himself had the key and he was slightly bigger than your average ape. I asked the experienced members in the guild if this was safe to solo and they all agreed that it was too dangerous, but I had a plan.
He edited that. They all said yes.
Oh. Yeah.
I would take this plus-size Harambe for a few rounds of Ring Around the Rosie, and a few short minutes later I channeled my inner Godzilla and promptly took a shit on King Kong. Turns out the turtles got word that I was trying to save them, and one took advantage of my publicity stunt by saying, hey, there's a side chick out in bumfucks.
Yeah, full context, you love turtles.
Steam Weedleport, can you spend your entire afternoon escorting me there at the speed of a one-legged dog on tranquilizers so that I can get my nut? And since Howard's a sucker for a love story, I obliged.
Sucker for a love story.
Anyways, I learned there was once a giant dormant volcano called Ungoro that's now a crater, and some cow there said he knew one of my guildies and told me that they are actually related.
Brother of mine.
And then he told me what his Twitch viewers were doing to help him level so fast.
Destroying everything he touched.
I said, yeah, I've heard of mob tagging, but what did the first mob do when Miss had to fight it himself?
Killed him not far from this spot.
A local demon worshipper warned me of the dangers in this bitch, and I quickly learned what she was talking about.
Oof.
Oh my god.
Turns out a group of morons got stuck in the crater and couldn't get out.
It's his fault we're here.
I'm making a flying machine. I got stranded here and I'm absolutely horrible at finding my way around.
As I'm thinking, wow, you dumb shit faces, maybe Google the nearest flight path, because you're practically pissing on one, but not my problem as I had other business to attend to. This involved celebrating my 51st birthday in a ginger pube of his own and learning that I apparently wasn't aiming my shots before. Emperor Rab now had a new groove, which also meant that Howard would never be able to hold aggro anymore. But anyways, my quests were now like, okay, we need you to make every species of beast in this burnt butthole of a zone go extinct or at least die of old age trying, which sounded about as pleasant as a sandpaper dildo, so I just took a different approach where I attended some auctions and simply bought that shit, which I suppose is why people like this angry Andy think SSF hardcore will be so much better. And to that I just want to say, new series coming in January. But after spending too much of my money so that I didn't actually have to play the game, I could no longer afford a sick bow that's crossed, so I asked for a loan only to be met with a weird request. But I have dignity, so the only appropriate response was somehow I was able to afford the new bow, which meant the next hour of my life would be spent chucking rank 1 stings at obese owls, but it would be all worth it when I could line up an aimed shot with this new weapon and just watch a bitch melt. Before realizing those were elites and I fucked up. It wasn't until way later, when this new ability was still hitting like a flaccid dick, when I realized that the talent only gives me rank 1 and I would have to talk to Sensei in the Forge of Irons. But it was
There you
worth
go.
the trip because I got to see how much the Sam Sulik bulk diet I've been feeding Howard had been paying off. Hashtag pig diff, and with that I was finally
big
ready
Howard
to
is.
unleash this thing's power. But jokes aside, I was about to put this new weapon and ability combo to the test in a big way. Remember last episode when I helped this douche launch a damn coup against the mining organization to avenge his dead dad, and then when it came time to fight the leaders together he pussied out by identifying as a Charizard instead? Well, I found someone else who had a bone to pick with them.
That bastard Maltorius!
This little charred dwarf had his recipe for twice-baked loaded tater tots potatoes stolen by the dickhead.
Bet anything that the recipe was part of the deal in his new promotion amongst the Dark Irons.
And maybe avenging a dead dad isn't enough to pick that fight, but when taters are on the table we are committing.
I'm sure there's
Right,
somewhere
that
named
makes a lot of
Maltorius
sense.
deep inside the slag pit.
Plus there was a bounty for the shitter's head, so me and Howard had work to do. We got down to where the leaders hang out, and sure enough they were having their water cooler talk right in front of the coveted Bobby Flay recipe card. Two elites and Mr. Malforius, who would turn out to be
How does Howard get wherever when he flies?
You can dismiss pets, and they sort of disappear, and then bring them back, and they reappear. It's kind of like putting them away or something. I don't know.
Convenient.
someone I should not have dealt with. I learned from Howard's Uncle Fred in Guzu's stream that using a pocket nuke to pull a pack lets you split them up later, and since it went so well for him I figured what's the worst that could happen.
Died.
To my surprise the split pull seemed to work as the other two started running back, until I touched their butt buddy and classic WoW code had them running back to me to the point where they now never de-aggroed, and I'm not proud of what I ended up having to do.
He had to let Howard die to get out of the situation.
So I decided to split pull and kill the bottom bitch bodyguards first, and this worked like a charm. Then it was just me and Firecrotch Malfoy, and while I thought this would be a walk in the park, it turns out this particular park knows how to polymorph. For 20 seconds as I was forced to watch Howard fight against a boss elite who I was learning could also bubble himself. The plan was now to make like a fart and blow this shithole, but I didn't want another Howard homicide on my hands, so I ran back to heal him, only to unwillingly become a small lamb again until he was dead and I was in trouble. I now had a plan for the polys where I would just play peekaboo when he casted them, but even with the evolution of my strategy, he was abusing my poor pig too hard and I just didn't have the resources to survive the fight. At one point I tried letting him beat up on me for a bit, but I quickly learned that one single dot would do half my health, and I ended up having to pot when he put a second on me. I probably should have left, but I had one more plan: to use his own polymorph bullshit against him.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch.
Tricky. Very tricky. Got him. I'll explain that to you really quick. So, polymorph, well, you could tell it's where you could turn into a sheep. You just can't do anything for a while. It's like a mage skill. They essentially take someone out of the fight. And what happens is, though, when you get turned into a sheep, your health goes all the way back up very quickly. So you can't do anything, but also your health goes back up. So it's a trade-off, right? And it was very bad when he was polymorphing Rav, because the pig was having to fight by himself for 20 seconds, which is not good. So he essentially got it so that the boss would polymorph Howard instead of Rav, and then Howard's health would be low because he's been fighting the boss, and it'll go all the way back up. And then when he got out of sheep, then he's got full health again, and then Rav wasn't polymorphed. So it was just like a trick of getting the boss to do that instead of that, and yeah, it was good. Good strat.
And after 30 minutes and over 10
Mad
attempts
genius.
of this deadly pull, Howard and I slayed in front of a cheering section, grabbed that
Polys.
shitter's head, and thanks to our commitment, the dankest loaded tots would be served on someone's table tonight.
The tank
But I had to
exploded,
take a break
Tots.
from being a sweat before I died of dehydration,
I
so
love
I told
Ravi's
Miss
so cute.
Tinkle Sprinkle Piss Goblin that I would accept her triple dog dare to skinny dip in a hinterlands pond and get her some good kush from the bottom. In return, she said her big step bro would hook me up, to which he was like, have some of my
Fabulous noggin fogger elixir.
After a quick Google search on if this would kill me, I deep-throated it only to be turned into the sexiest skeleton where I could run, ride Rebecca, and dance while looking hard as fuck.
My God.
Skeletons and shivers down your spine.
Needless to say, I bought a Costco quantity of those bitches. But then word got out of me teabagging Draco Malforius like a Giga Chad, so my pack made in Iron Forge was all like,
Ogdink of Ajara has sent out a call for seasoned hunters such as yourself.
I meet the deformed penguin who told me he needed deer antlers that would have a drop rate so low I will one day tell my grandkids about it on holidays, and then he was like, dope, now ride down to the beach where there will be these endangered three-headed Charizards, and I hope to God your Tinder profile wasn't lying about you liking long walks on the beach, because that's all you will be doing while looking for these spawns. But it was all worth, because the chain quest rewards were worthy of ejaculation, and all I needed to do was slay some Drake and its simp in a temple that sunk into the ground. I knew dungeons at this level are where people get one shot, so I needed to find a few serious gamers to keep me alive.
Ozzy.
I didn't know what powers or dangers the Drakes would bring, but by the looks of this group, I was betting on us.
Wait, are we really gonna walk the whole way?
Yes.
Somebody is saying yes. He said shut up.
Turns out this dungeon is just like 6 million circular hallways in a maze with big packs where I was mouse clicking my abilities just to trigger the streamers watching this, but all is good because I was top dog and the run was smooth.
Wait! Don't click the statue.
We ran into some snake puzzle straight out of Zelda where apparently you have to jerk off these statues in a particular order, or I'm told you just flat out go back to Elwyn. This then spawns an angry orange musclefuck who oh so kindly gave me a pair of dank cufflinks. Then we made it to the main lobby, and while my group was trying to deal with the accidental double pull they just made, I was focused on that hole and thinking about where it goes.
That aspect? You're just saying it because of this. Okay, like... Oh! You're fucking
Some dude who self-identifies as a prophet was next,
He
and apparently
distracted
he mind
himself and then
controls, but we
fell?
started the pull. I walked.
Well, yeah, but it was also that boss has a big knockback, so he was a little distracted. But at the same time, here, let's watch it again. That whatever boss they were fighting down there ended up doing a wing buffer and throwing him in the air, and then it threw him right down that hole.
Well, why is he sitting there?
He was a little distracted too. Like he was hitting the boss, you know. And I don't know if it's random where the boss hits you or if it specifically hits you down that hole. But
you're just saying it because of
there he
this.
is. He's just waiting, and then boom.
Okay, like... Oh!
Hardcore over. Oh my god.
Some dude who self-identifies as a prophet was next, and apparently
Yikes.
he mind controls, but we started the pull. I walked over to my assigned spot, and by the time I started warming up my Legolas charades act, he was already dead. His butt buddy gave us a kilt, and I was starting to think this whole place was an easy joke, but they warned me the last dragon is a level 60 killer. We get there and they are just writing novels about all the shit Howard has to do if the tank takes a nap, blah blah blah. The healer was telling me not to feign if this level 60 killing Drake targets me, but not knowing this fight, I decided I would trust his call if it came down to that, but things didn't exactly go to plan.
Oh, he's oh fuck! Run! Back up!
The cliffhanger.
Oh fuck!